Welcome back. David Hertel in for Elias. A Black Montreal theater performer has filed a lawsuit against Alain Babineau. He's, of course, an anti-racism activist, a part of the organization called Red Coalition, who he is accusing of associating him with racism against black people. Babineau has associated the performer and his puppet theater piece with racism, the submission of black people to white people, and even white supremacism and the dehumanization of black people. Claims, he says, have damaged his career. Joining us now is Guillaume Rousseau, lawyer for Franck Sylvestre, the theater performer. Mr. Rousseau, thank you for your time this morning.
Thanks to you.
Okay, so tell me more about the case. Maybe for people who are listening to us who are not familiar, there's been some media coverage of this, but ultimately Franck Sylvestre had a puppet show, and the puppet was of a black man, correct?
Yep.
And apparently it's the look of the black person, or what did Alain Babineau react to within the show that Franck Sylvestre had with that puppet?
Well, basically, he's saying that the puppet is blackface. So that's the point, that the puppet is blackface and therefore racist. So that's basically and then many other things that he's been saying that you've been reporting in the last few seconds. But basically, the base of his reasoning is that the puppet is black, therefore it's blackface, therefore it's racism.
And what is the content? Okay, that's the puppet, but what's the content of Franck Sylvestre's show? What does he do with the puppet? What's the show about?
It's for children, and it's about there's a mystery about a pirate and in the Caribbean, and the puppet is some sort of a hero at the end with the answer to the mystery and so on. So it's really has nothing to do with blackface, because blackface is not just about, having a black performer or a black puppet or a black anything. It's blackface is really about stereotype, about showing a black person, usually a white person with a black face, but doing foolish thing, to say that, black people are not intelligent and so on. That has nothing to do with the puppet of my client, who is some kind of a hero in this play.
So I guess before you decided to file the lawsuit, you sent a letter to Mr. Babineau. What were you asking for in that letter, that preliminary demand letter?
Yeah, well, last autumn we just asked for the defender, for Mr. Babineau, to say that he's sorry and to stop the defamation against Franck Sylvestre and his play. So that was it. We were not asking for money. We were just asking for him to say that he's sorry publicly, because the defamation has been public. It was on Twitter. It was during a press conference. So the damage to my client was related to the fact that Mr. Babineau did speak publicly. So we wanted him to say that he's sorry and to stop this campaign, both the defamation campaign, but also the call for censorship. Because that's one thing to call Mr. Franck Sylvestre racist, to call his show racist. That's defamatory, because calling someone racist when you have no good reason to do so is defamatory. But on the other end, there's also the call for the censorship of the show, and that's also mentioned in the lawsuit.
Okay. And did you at any time get a response from Mr. Babineau?
Yes, he just refused to say that he's sorry. Refused to say that he's stopping his campaign of defamation and call for censorship. So he just refused he refused your proposal simply. Okay.
So moving on from that, your client agreed to file a lawsuit. You just mentioned defamation. Maybe explain to us what are the legal criteria to get to a point where something is being said that actually is defamation in Quebec?
Yes. So So the point here is to say that you are saying something that exposes the person to hatred. So by saying that Mr. Sylvestre is racist, by saying that he's somehow an ally of white supremacists and so on, you clearly the words of Mr. Babineau are clearly exposing my client to hatred among all of the community, but especially among the black community. Mm-hmm. So that would be one element. And then on the other end, there's the consequences of that. Is that it's one thing to call someone a racist. It's one thing to call for the show to be censored. But once it worked, because it worked on at least two occasions, the show of my client was canceled. Then there's a damage. So it's also that part of the whole story that is in the lawsuit.
So that was my next question. So Mr. Sylvestre has lost some business following those comments, and you can directly link the loss of bookings to the comments of Mr. Babineau?
Yeah, we have a lot of proof, a lot of proofs of evidence in that case, and one of the evidence is that there's an email from an organization that had planned a show by Mr. Sylvestre, and at some point they're saying, sorry, because of the controversy, we are now canceling your show. So it's really explicit, and that was the goal of the Red Coalition and Mr. Babineau and others to say we are calling for the show to be canceled. So there's really the link between what they've been saying and the cancellation of the show on different occasions. The link is clear.
And in your demand letter, you mentioned earlier that you weren't asking for any financial damages. Does your lawsuit end in asking for financial compensation?
Yep, we are asking for a compensation. So there was one show that was canceled, and it was $1,600 that Mr. Sylvestre lost, and the other damages it's moral damages and exemplary damages. So it's $26,600, and if you look at the case law, it's really reasonable. So it's really not a slap. It's really not a lawsuit to make sure that no one will criticize Mr. Sylvestre. It's really a moderate amount of money that we're asking for, especially considering all the fees related to a lawsuit. So we really didn't want to ask for a lot of money because we don't want this to be perceived as a slap.
Guillaume Rousseau, lawyer for Franck Sylvestre. I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thanks to you.